Shana Tovah. All right, let's try that again. Shana Tovah. And Gemar Chatimah Tovah. And what we just heard that Lori Riley sang is a beautiful Barchi Nafshi, which tells us and reminds us to enwrap ourselves in a talit this morning. We're always supposed to wear talitot in the morning, so if you have one, please put it on. And I'm grateful to be here again. I'm Rabbi Block. If I haven't met you, I hope to meet you. And I'm grateful to be here again with our guest cantor, Michael Trachtenberg, along with our cantorial soloist, Robin Kuda, and our president, Neil Topp, and founding and Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Norm Lipson, as well as our TDD Generations Choir, Lori Riley, who's director of it, and our accompanist, Anthony Ciotti. And let's take a moment to say Shana Tovah and Gemar Tov to somebody next to you. And we also want to take a moment to welcome all of those who are joining us by live stream. We know that we had a little technical difficulty last night. We're going to offer a little prayer to the live stream gods and the Zoom gods and all the gods that we will have all go well this morning. And if we have a little trouble, just stay with us. Don't shut off. Just stay with us. I'm sure everything will be okay. If you're in person with us this morning, you will find your maksorim on your chairs, and I think you know the routine. If you're here with us by live stream, you should have picked up your maksor a week or so ago, a little bit more than a week, or you can find online the tab that Faye sent you that has the link for an online maksor. Please make sure to use the silver one. We also ask for everyone's safety to please have your mask over your mouth and your nose. Emergency exits are here, 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 and here. And please, if you have trouble standing, please don't stand. Please, stand if you're comfortable too. And also, everybody, at this time, many of us are fasting, so please know that if you can't fast for medical reasons, Judaism demands that you don't. Okay. A story. In a mountain village in Europe many centuries ago, there was a nobleman who was concerned about the legacy he would leave to the people of his town. The man spent a great deal of time contemplating his dilemma and at last decided to build a synagogue. In the course of his planning, he decided that no one would see the plans for the building until it was finished. The construction took quite a long time, much longer than he anticipated. But at long last, the project was completed. The townspeople were excited and curious about what they would find upon entering their new synagogue. When the people came for the first time, they marveled at the synagogue's magnificence. No one could ever remember so beautiful a synagogue anywhere in the world. Then, noticing a seemingly obvious flaw in the design, one of the townspeople asked, "Where are the lamps? What will provide the lighting?" The proud nobleman pointed to the brackets, which were strategically placed all along the walls throughout the synagogue. He then gave each family a lamp, as he explained, "Whenever you come to the synagogue, I want you to bring your lamp and light it. But each time you are not here," he said, "a part of the synagogue will be dark. This lamp will remind you that whenever you are absent, some part of God's house will be dark. Your community is relying on you for light." We come this day, the holiest day of the year, and light shines brightly. In the days, weeks, and months ahead, we will need your light. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. We will need you. So make sure to bring your lamps. We begin our service this morning as we continue with the singing of Ma Tovu as the choir joins and leads us on page 138. Our service on page 158, thanking God for the breath that God has put within each one of us. We continue as Cantor and I chant this beautiful Elohai Neshama. Again, page 158. Elohai, Elohai. Neshama, Neshama.
Neshama, Neshama.
Shana tatabi, Shana tatabi.
Shana tatabi, Shana tatabi.
Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Wow, Cantor, I think they sing it so well. I think we need to do it again. I want to hear everyone singing together. Let's try together. Elohai, Elohai.
Elohai, Elohai.
Neshama, Neshama.
Neshama, Neshama.
Shana tatabi, Shana tatabi.
Shana tatabi, Shana tatabi.
Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
We thank God for our breath, for our soul. Baruch atah Adonai, asher be'adon nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. We continue on page 178 as we rise for the Baruch Hu. Please be seated. We continue together in the middle of 178. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, whose power fills the cosmos, who opens for us the gates of compassion and lights up the eyes of those who await forgiveness, shaper of light, source of the darkness, maker of peace, creator of all. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, said God. It was so. In love, you bring light to the earth and its creatures. Your goodness renews the creation each day. Infinite, varied, and rich are your words, divine artist, all of them wrought with wisdom. The whole earth is teeming with life. Awestruck by the universe, work of your hands, let all life bless you, praise you, and celebrate the beauty of your light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamarot. We continue on page 183, reading together, top of the page. You love us by helping us grow. You give us Torah, a ladder for the soul, words that draw us upward, every mitzvah an invitation to climb, forge and kiln and crucible to purify our hearts. You give us Torah. You love us by helping us grow. We will rise for the watchword of our faith on page 186 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. A few days ago, I saw on the front cover of a magazine in bold print the words, "Getting good at love." The words continued how to find it, risk it, make it grow, and live it each day. As I read it, I couldn't help but to think how this is what this time of year is all about. And it's actually really what life is about in general, getting good at love. This time of year commands that we look into ourselves and ask how we've loved this year. Have we given our hearts enough? Have we loved with everything we have, not only with our family, but with strangers too? Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Illusion, and other spiritual books, wrote, "When we come to the last moment of this lifetime, and we look back across it, the only thing that's going to matter is what was the quality of our love." So for 5782, let it be our duty to keep on working at getting good at love. We continue with the Ve'ahavta, our love prayer, page 188.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu harvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinanta hamlevanecha v'dibarta baham Beshivtecha beveitecha, uvelechtecha havaderech, uveshokpecha uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mizuzot peitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeruhu, Va'asitem ekol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim le'Eloheichem. Ani Adonai Eloheichem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hiyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Eloheichem.
William Holden in the film The Earthling said, "I always made the mistake of thinking that today was a rehearsal for tomorrow. It isn't. When we can live right here, today, and not worry about tomorrow, we will find ourselves much happier and much more free. We continue with our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, page 196. Two little boys who were excessively mischievous. They were always getting into trouble, so they sent them to talk to the town rabbi. When they arrived at the rabbi's home, the rabbi asked the younger child to come in first. "Do you believe in God?" the rabbi asked the boy. "Yes," he responded. "So do you know where God is?" the rabbi continued to ask. The young boy had a puzzled look on his face and said, "Nope." The rabbi said again, "Do you know where God is?" The boy looked back and said, "I already told you, no." The rabbi asked one last time in a louder voice, "Do you know where God is?" In tears, the young boy ran out of the room to his older brother. The older brother asked, "What's wrong?" Sobbing, the young boy answered, "We're in big trouble now. God is missing and they think we've done it." God is never really missing. All we have to do is work to bring God into our lives. For some of us, that's easy. For some of us, a little bit more of a struggle. Wherever you are with your relationship with God, let us rise now for tefillah, to work on getting closer to the Holy One. We continue page 198.
Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor veHaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imhot, Mehevi Giula, Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo, Be'ava.
Eloheinu
עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרא הצרה.
Page 204, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה ברב להושיע. Together your life-giving power is forever. Adonai, with us in life and death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs, sovereign over life and death, who is like you, merciful God who compares with you. With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life, faithful and true, worthy of our trust. You sustain our immortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Wellspring of blessing, power eternal, you are the one who gives and renews all life. Please be seated. We continue on page 208. But before we continue, I'd like for you to go to the bottom of page 209, last paragraph, third line in, because we're about to prepare ourselves for the Unatana Tokef, which is one of the central prayers in our liturgy for the High Holy Days. And this really is what it's about. Take hold of your life while you still have the chance. For your story will end, and it might be this year in a way you don't know. Take hold of your life. Make things right while you can, and don't miss the call of the day of dread. This whole prayer is to teach us that life is fragile and to live life to the fullest. We continue, page 208. Our sovereign God of pardon and forgiveness, let these words of sanctity ascend to you.
Unatane Tokef, Kedushata Yom Kippur, Nora Ve'ayom, Uvodina Semavuteha, Ve'yigon Ve'chesed, Yisecha, Eteshet alav be'emet.
Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens and deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we've forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments.
Hashanah yikatevu, U'yom Kippur lechatevu.
Amav Yazrun Vechama Yibareyun.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevu, U'yom Kippur lechatevu. Rosh Hashanah yikatevu, U'yom Kippur lechatevu.
On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We rise for the Kedusha, page 218.
Nikadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, Vekara zel ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Eloh haaretz, Yevodo. Adir Alineinu, Adonai Adonenu, Mahadir Shimcha bechol haaretz.
Baruch Timon Adonai, Mimkomo.
Baruch Eloheinu, Avinu, Malkeinu, Moshienu, Vehu Yashmienu.
We continue on the bottom of page 223. Let's read together. To be awake is to be alive. Only that day dawns to which we are awake. One cannot help but in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery. Every day, never lose a holy curiosity. Wisdom begins with the awe of the eternal. We continue on page 238 as Cantor continues with the beautiful Reitzei. On 244, we continue. There we find in the middle of the page what we call the priestly benediction. We all know this. We hear it at so many simchas and life cycle events. But sometimes we don't really think about the words and what they mean. So let me simplify them for you. The first part, the Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, it really just means, may you feel happy. Can we say that? I didn't hear you. Good. The second one means, may you feel safe. Can we say that? And the last one, may you feel peace. Can you say that? Good. For one moment, let's say these words one more time, but picture someone you want to offer that blessing to. They might be sitting right next to you, or they might be someone who's not here, but you're thinking of them. Or it could even be someone who may no longer be on the face of the earth. But I want you to direct this blessing one more time to that person. May you feel happy. May you feel safe. May you feel peace. So as we offer this threefold benediction, Cantor and Lori and myself, I invite you to remember what these blessings are. Their life itself, their goodness, their blessing, and you can send it out into the world to the people you want, or perhaps you want to direct it to the people around you, or maybe you need that blessing for yourself. God would like that too. We continue with the Yivarechecha. We continue silently through pages 250.
acceptable to you, O Lord. My rock, my rock, my rock, my redeemer, my redeemer. You, Leratzon imrefi, vehegion libi lefanecha. Adonai, Suri ve'goli. Adonai, Suri ve'goli.
Every day we get a fresh 86,400 seconds to use however we wish. The Vidui reminds us how holy our time is, how precious it is. As we recite the Vidui, may we resolve to use our time wisely in meaningful and holy ways. We continue page 296. Please rise. Enu velohe avotenu v'imotenu, tavo lefanecha tefilatenu. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. We continue together as we strike our chest as Cantor leads us in the Ashamnu.
Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Agadnu,
Agadnu,
Kazalnu,
Kazalnu,
Ibornu Dofi,
Ibornu Dofi,
Evinu,
Evinu,
Vihishanu, Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Afalnu Shaker, Ya'atznu La,
Ya'atznu Ra,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latznu,
Latznu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Niyatznu,
Niyatznu,
Sararnu,
Sarnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Ashanu,
Ashanu,
Sararnu,
Sarnu,
Kishinu Oref, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Kiyovnu,
Together we join of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. We continue on page 300 as we remain standing. If you're able, we continue together with the Al Chaitz. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, for the ways we've wronged you under duress and by choice and harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously together. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness and harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by abusing our power and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, for the ways we have wronged you by giving into our hostile impulses and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you in our routine conversations and harm we've caused in your world through envy. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 304. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by hating without cause. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by losing self-control, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality and harm we've caused in your world by hardening our hearts. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through greed and exploitation and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts and harm we've caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Al Chaitz shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes and harm we have caused in your world by profaning your name in public. For all these failures of judgment and will, God forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
Amen.
please be seated. We continue silently as we do what we call our own cheshbon hanefesh, our own introspection and silent confession on pages 308 and 309. We continue silently. Just looking at these beautiful reflections on 308 and 309 and just thinking about this past year has been really difficult for all of us. And it's been difficult for our congregation as well. And I just want to say that we are here for you. We want to be here for you. And if you need anything from us, to please reach out to us. We continue as we call upon the Nestor family to open the Ark doors on page 252 as we rise for Avinu Malkeinu. Again, page 252. A man once cried to God, "Eternal One, the world is in such a mess. Everything seems wrong. Why don't you send someone to help and change the world?" The voice of Adonai answered, "I did send someone. I sent you." We pray for life. We ask God for a year of health and happiness. Don't just ask. Tell the Almighty, tell the world, tell yourself, send me. On this tour, as we join together to recite the Avinu Malkeinu, let us remember that we cannot just pray to God, but we need to do our part so that we are renewed for a good year. We continue as Cantor chants the Avinu Malkeinu, page 252.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei dever, V'cherev v'ra'av, Ve'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei chotzar, Umastin. Ve'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotveinu, Besefer Chaim Tovim, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tovah. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tovah. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
We read together. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the books of life well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Vaneinu, Tien Banu Masim, Asei Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Asei Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu.
We remain standing and we continue with the Torah service with Seder Kriyat Torah, page 255 as Cantor chants Ein Kamocha.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarek et amo v'shalom. Adonai yivarek et amo v'shalom.
At this time, we invite Elliot Kessler to the Ark to take out the Torah.
Nail rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, nose avon v'afesha, v'chata'a v'nakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kahadosh v'nora Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, unerom imo shemo yachtov. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, olam olam. Shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, olam olam omein. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
I'd like to invite to our Bima, our founding and Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Norman Lipson.
I hate these masks. Gemar Tov, may it be a good year for us all. In looking through the Torah reading for this morning, Nitzavim, a reading that occurs every Yom Kippur, I found something interesting. And truthfully, I never saw this before. Emes. Almost every verb in the morning Torah reading. Which mic? This mic?
Yeah, higher.
Higher. Let me turn this one off. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Almost every verb in this morning's Torah reading, beginning with the very first word, nitzavim, you are standing, is in either the present or future tense. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. You are standing here before the Lord your God, and it continues on and on, men and women and children and everyone else. Present and future tense, so what does it mean? It means that the people of Israel standing at Sinai is an ongoing, eternal moment in time. The text is inclusive, directed to atem, all of you, or as we say in the South, y'all. Standing before God this day, machers and schleppers, fancy and plain folk, young and old, children, infants, no one is exempt. It's a powerful statement of faith and belief. All Israel from Sinai until forever, partners in the Jewish experience, together as one people. Among this portion's 12 verses appears a most intriguing phrase stating that the covenant at Sinai even includes those who are not here with us today. Ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom. Rabbinic tradition interprets this phrase as referring to the unborn generations of Israel whose souls are also standing at Sinai. However, I prefer a different interpretation, one not so spiritual, not so religious, but far more direct and to the point. Or as they say in Israel, dugri, Arabic word meaning in your face. Those who are not here with us this day, I interpret as those who have chosen to step away from the temple, who have chosen to take a break from personal Jewish responsibility, those who have chosen to remove themselves from the Jewish community, those who have not yet chosen to join with us in our people's journey. Like an empty chair at a family event, their presence at temple is missed, leaving a hole in our hearts. But far worse, by being MIA from the synagogue, the souls of their children and grandchildren will never be touched by the warmth and beauty of our faith, nor by this temple. Our Torah portion empowers us to choose the blessing or the curse, habracha v'haklala, Jewish life or death, hachayim v'hamavet. Making the correct choice is crucial, for if we don't choose blessing and life for ourselves, no one else will. We who are aware that we are still standing at Sinai have an obligation to move from personal comfort zones and share our personal spiritual journeys, what being part of Dor Dorim means to us. With whom? With our unaffiliated Jewish friends and neighbors alike. To present them the blessing of renewing their spiritual lives and in turn giving renewed spiritual life to their children by making this their spiritual home. Do I sound like a missionary? I am. Am I Chabad? No. Am I speaking Dugri? Totally. And where do we speak these words of faith and of hope? To paraphrase the words of the V'ahavta, while shopping the aisles of Publix, while eating at leisure at Aquilina and Mitch's, while riding through the golf greens of Weston Hills Country Club, and sitting at mahjong boards. We who know that we are still standing at Sinai have the obligation of pikuach nefesh, of saving spiritual lives, reminding those Jews that they, their children and grandchildren also stand at Sinai. The adults may have forgotten it. Their children may not even know it. From our inception, Temple Dor Dorim's concerns for strengthening bonds of family interconnections and friendships was of such important value that the heart the symbol of love and faith, became incorporated as an integral part of our temple's logo. It was not by accident. On the Torah's white parchment and written in black ink, God states, "I have placed before you life and death, blessing and the curse. Choose life that you and your children may live." May we choose wisely and speak forcefully, for only then will the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be truly acceptable to God as we continue to stand hand in hand at Sinai, Dor Dorim, throughout the generations. Gemar Tov.
For the first Aliyah, we will follow the reading on page 266 of your Machzorim. We're going to call upon Robin Kuder, our cantorial soloist, to help us to gabbai for us today, to check. We're going to look at chapter 29, Deuteronomy, verse 9 through 11. And we invite for the recitation of the Torah blessing Abby Shepard-Smith, chair of our ritual and reopening committee, both of those. And if you happen to be on the ritual or reopening committees, please rise at your seat so we can acknowledge you and thank you for your dedication and commitment. Thank you. And we also invite to the Bima our Torah reader, Rachel Nestor. Rachel. It's okay, we have it. Ta'amod ahuva bat meir leib v'chava chaya rishon.
Baruch hu Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Eloheihem Rashechem shivteihem ziknechem v'shot rechem kol ish Yisrael tachem nishechem v'gercha asher bekerev mahaneha mehotev ezeha ad shoev meimecha levareha bivrit Adonai Elohecha uvalato asher Adonai Elohecha kuret imha hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
For the second Aliyah, we continue in our Machzorim with verses 12 through 14. We invite forth to the Bima Elise Rodriguez, representing members of our Board of Trustees, and Mara Mittentag, representing Board Alumni. And if you happen to be currently on the board or former board members, we ask you to please rise at your seats and stay standing throughout the Aliyah so we can acknowledge you and thank you for your dedication and your commitment to Temple Dor Dorim. Love seeing all these wonderful people who are so dedicated. Thank you, thank you. We also invite to the Bima our Torah reader and tutor. Where is he? Neil Marcus. Oh, there he is. And for reading the Torah today. Ta'amdu Esther Verda bat Hinga Sarah Miriam Esther bat Mendel Vasura Rivka Sheni.
Baruch atah Hamarav le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'karanu mikol ha'amin v'nata lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Lema'an chakim odcha hayom lo le'am v'hu yiyeh lecha le'elohim ka'asher diber lach v'ka'asher nishpa lavotecha l'Avraham li'Yitzchak u'Yaakov v'lo idchem levadchem anochi koreit et habrit hazot ve'et ha'alah hazot ki et asher yeshno po imanu omeid hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet ve'ha'inu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. For the third Aliyah, we continue with chapter 30, verse 11 through 14. We invite to the Bima Danny Sheldon, representing our enhanced members. If you happen to be an enhanced member, we ask that you please rise at your seats so that we can acknowledge you and thank you for your dedication and commitment to Temple Dor Dorim. We also invite to the Bima Torah reader, cantorial soloist Robin Kuda. Ya'amod David Abraham ben Yaakov Rivka Shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Ki hamitzvah hazot asher Anochi mitzavcha hayom lo nifleit hi mimcha velo rechoka hi lo vashamayim hi lemor mi ya'elanu hashamayma v'yikacher lanu v'yashmienu ota v'na'asena V'lo me'ever layam hi lemor mi ya'avar lanu el ever hayam v'yikacher lanu v'yashmi'enu ata v'na'asena ki karov elecha hadavar me'od beficha uvlach v'chavcha La Soto.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
At this time, we think of all of our loved ones who are in need of healing of body, mind, and soul. If you have a loved one who you are thinking of today, we ask you to hold their names in your heart. We also think of all of those who've been affected by the virus. We think of them and pray for healing. Baruch atah Adonai, Makor Chaim, blessed are you, Adonai, source of life. We continue with the singing of Mishaberach, page 273. Jason and Stacy Oletsky for the lifting and dressing of the Torah. Ya'amdu hamagbiya v'golelet.
Torah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael kol ki Adonai biyad Moshe yadalai lai 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 yadalai lai 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 lai
And at this time, we're going to remain standing. I know it's a long time to be standing. If you can't, that's okay. Please sit if you need to. I'm going to call up Lenny Miller. Lenny Miller. To share a reading to bless our congregation, our community, and Israel.
Avenu Malkeinu, our parent, our sovereign, Bless this holy congregation and all who serve it, together with holy congregations in all lands near and far. Uphold us, shield us, and bestow upon us abundant life and health and peace and happiness in all our dwelling places. We pray also for all who hold positions of leadership and responsibility in our national life. Make them responsive to your will, so that our nation may be to the world an example of justice and compassion. We are not only thankful for this community and our country, but we always pray for the land of Israel and its people. May its borders know peace and its inhabitants tranquility, and let us say, Amen.
And we're going to continue standing for another moment as we continue on page 290, as we call upon the empty nesters. Now, I know we can't see the empty nesters, but we're going to ask you to wave. Wave your hand up high if you're an empty nester. There you go. Perfect. So that we can recognize you and acknowledge you for your dedication and commitment. And we also ask Alice and Gary to open the doors of the ark for us as we return the Torah to the ark. Again, page 290, you can follow along. Page 290. Yehalalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Let us praise God's name, for God's name alone is exalted.
Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu yameinu kekedem. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated. The Olympics may not have been the most popular this year, but this Olympic champion was. In fact, she was the topic, and still is the topic, of some heated discussion this past summer. And the constant debate that many were having was she a hero or a poor loser? Everyone had their comments on Simone Biles. You could find them on numerous sources of social media, articles in the news. Was withdrawing from 4 individual finals at the Games poor sportsmanship or an act of courage and bravery? After packing up and leaving the Olympics, Simone Biles revealed that her aunt died unexpectedly during the Tokyo Olympics. She said, "People have to realize that at the end of the day, we're humans, not just entertainment. There are things going on behind the scenes that people have no idea about." That can be said for all of us, but yet we are so quick to judge one another. It reminds me of a sign I saw in a store the other day that read, "Please don't judge me while I'm judging others." Like all of us, I couldn't help to chuckle a little because this statement is so true. Human beings in general, and I refer now to all of us, we tend to be judgmental. Let's reflect for a moment on just the past 18 months and think about how we've judged one another since COVID started. We've judged whether people went on a vacation and how they traveled, whether they sent their children back to school or not, how we washed our groceries or didn't, whether we worked from home or in the office, whether we gathered for holidays or not, whether we ate in restaurants or went into stores. But even before COVID, we didn't have trouble finding reasons to judge one another. We've judged others for how they spent their money, or the generosity of gifts they gave, or in some cases withheld, or their parenting style, or their friendliness, or their intelligence, or their front yards. And the list is virtually infinite, for there is no end to the ways which we can find to pass judgment on others. This infinite list leaves me wondering, why are we so quick to judge every situation, everything, and every person? Are any of us perfect? Some people argue that social media has increased the frequency with which people express critical judgments publicly. But the reality is that judging happens everywhere. It happens in the streets, in our homes, and all over the world. In fact, reflect in your mind whether, when you arrived at services this morning, you didn't have a moment in which you were critical of someone else in the room. Did you think to yourself, I can't stand her new hairstyle? Or, he put on some weight? Or, look at that outfit? I'm sure many of us did, because all of us make judgments. Don't misunderstand me. There's such a thing as good judgment. It's called discernment, being able to weigh the options and make a good decision. All of us hope for this quality in our children and strive for it in ourselves. But there's another kind of judging that's far less helpful and much more hurtful. That's when we make critical judgments about each other. So I thought on this holy day, I'd remind myself and you along with me what our tradition tells us about judging each other critically. In the ancient Jewish collection, Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, we read, "Don't judge your fellow man until you're in his place." Or as we might put it, until you've walked in his or her shoes. How often do we pass judgments on people when we really don't know their path, their struggles, their journey? There's a wonderful YouTube video. It's called Empathy, that opens with a question from Henry David Thoreau. Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant? The video shows footage in a hospital. Over the head of each person in the hospital, there's a bubble sharing what's on that person's mind. The bubble's revealed from men and women such facts as struggling with divorce, my father is sick, going to be a dad. Can you imagine for one moment what that might be like? What if we knew what was going on in others' minds? If we could see what they could see, hear what they could hear, feel what they could feel, would we treat others differently? Would we be so quick to judge others critically? We would begin to understand, as 19th century Scottish author Ian McLaren wrote, "Be kind, for every one you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about." Listen to what happened to Rabbi Sharon Brous on her first day of college. I was young and earnest with a dream summer internship at the Justice Department, living in dorms crowded with college kids from around the country. My roommate was coming a week late, and I anxiously awaited her arrival, certain we'd be best friends forever. Way too early one morning, there was a knock on my door. "Hi, I'm your roommate," she said coolly, pushing past me. "So happy to finally meet you," I said. "Where are you working this summer?" No answer. "Have you lived in DC before?" Still, no answer. "There's some great people on our floor. I'd love to introduce you to them." She wouldn't even make eye contact with me. My face started to burn. I turned and walked out of the room, embarrassed by what an easy cry I was. I called my folks, convinced that this was going to be the worst summer of my life. Should I try to switch rooms, get an apartment, pack up and escape back to New York? I avoided the dorms until late that night. When I finally returned, I was relieved to see that the lights were out and nightmare roommate was sound asleep. As I tiptoed in, I noticed a note on my pillow. "I'm sorry we didn't have time to connect more today. My name is Kathy, and I'm working on the Hill. I just want to let you know that I'm deaf. So if I'm not looking directly at you, I won't know that you're talking to me. Sorry, should have mentioned that this morning. It's always awkward when I meet new people. By the way, I saw that you're reading Invisible Man. That's my favorite book. Can't wait to get to know you this summer." Sometimes, even when we interact with someone, we don't know what's going on in that person's heart or mind. Perhaps this is why, in commenting on Pirkei Avot's admonition not to judge another until we've been in that person's place, Sfat Emet, an 18th century commentator, reminds us, you'll never reach his or her place. Why? Because we can never fully understand everything about another person's history, challenges, strengths, and weaknesses. The ancient rabbis understand our urge to judge, and they suggested, as Rabbi Joshua ben Perchia said in the Ethics of the Fathers, we can judge everyone favorably. He meant, look at the goodness in them. Similarly, the Jewish philosopher Maimonides taught that we should all pray that we will see the good traits of others and not their defects. So, for example, when you leave today, if somebody asks you, how'd you like the rabbi's sermon? Try and find one or two good points about it. The rabbis understood that if we could move from judgment to goodness, that perhaps there would be more love and less judgment in our world. The Midrash teaches that during the High Holy Days, even God can shift from judgment to mercy. That the judging God we were introduced to 10 days ago on Rosh Hashanah in the liturgy, the one who judges each of us at this time of year, can become merciful and loving. If God can move from judgment to loving kindness, can't we? If we, for a moment, can see things from someone else's perspective, our hearts might be opened and we could become so much more empathetic. As our tradition teaches in the Ethics of the Fathers, we should judge people by giving them the benefit of the doubt. Mother Teresa said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. If we are always finding faults in others, so busy passing judgments, we may never be able to see them for who they are and the good that is within them. We may never be blessed by the joy or love they may bring us, and we might never be able to give it in return. Today we recited the Al-Chet, the litany of prayers that we express to God to ask for forgiveness for our individual sins and for us as a community. One of them is Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, for the sin we committed against you by passing judgment on others. On this Yom Kippur day, let us atone for the judgments we have made. Let us open our hearts and just for a moment, try to walk in the shoes of another. And then realize the truth, that we can't walk in anyone else's shoes. So let us strive to be more compassionate and loving towards others and always look for the good in one another. Gemar Chatimah Tovah. May we be sealed for a good year.
I know a woman, she doesn't like what she sees when she looks in the mirror. It isn't who she thinks she should be, but she picks you up when your car breaks down, knows your birthday and everyone in town. She can crack your armor with her smile. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. I know a guy, he'll never run a 7-minute mile, no Friday night lights. He'll never wear quite what's in style, but he can quote every movie and every song, and he knows what is right and what is wrong. He can help you put your pieces back in place. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. That freckle on your face, that hair that's out of place, that extra part of you you wear with grace. That crazy crooked grin, there are cracks in everything. That's how the light gets in. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. If only you could know what others know. If only you could see what others see. If only you could know what others know. You are exactly who you are supposed to be.
A preacher stands up before his congregation on Sunday morning. My sisters and brothers, I have bad news and good news and bad news. The congregation sighs, give us the bad news. And the preacher says, we need a new roof. The congregation sighs and says, give us the good news. So the preacher says, "The good news, sisters and brothers, is that we have the money for the new roof." The congregation is thrilled to hear this. They cheer and clap. What could be so bad? So they shout out to the preacher, "Give us the bad news." And the preacher says, "The bad news is that the money for the repairs is still in your pockets." Friends, we don't know what's in your pockets, but we do ask at this time you search within them and be as generous as you can to help our community. At this time, we're going to listen to Neil Toff, our dear president, as he has some words for you.
Good morning. I just found out that Rabbi actually had that joke planned, so I don't exactly have a retort yet. Maybe it'll come to me as we speak. So, I grew up in Washington, D.C. I went to a synagogue called Washington Hebrew, Reformed synagogue. And we learned that Yom Kippur was a very serious day. It was solemn. It was not a day for joy, to be happy, necessarily for optimism. I'm going to go against the grain just a little bit, but I'm going to save that for the end. We're taught to ask for forgiveness and to atone for the things we've done wrong. As a president of our temple, there are certainly things I could have done better, things that I would say that I've done wrong, and I would bet things that you would say I've done wrong. Some of them get to me, meaning the words get back to me, and that's okay. I want to make a commitment to do better in my personal life, to be a better family member, a better dad, a better friend, a better business colleague. I want to be a better member of our temple. I want to treat our temple staff better. I want to be a better colleague to you. If I've hurt any of you, please forgive me. My commitment is to do a better job to communicate more clearly, more consistently, hopefully lead our board of directors and executive board to what, quote unquote, the right thing to do is. I want to revisit the theme of connection, or kesher, just once more with you this morning. Connection to Judaism, connection to Dor Dorim is the basis for why we're here, why we once built a synagogue, and most importantly, why we chose to hold fast to it this year, and why in 5782 we need to continue to hold fast to it. Our families have made the choice to continue to be members and to seek the connection that we've offered and that we're still learning how to offer despite this crazy Delta variant world we live in. We've lost some members along the way, sure, but the overwhelming majority of us are here. We stayed. We stayed the course because it's the right thing to do. I think most of us understand that Judaism is not just a sometimes thing. Sure, many of us come for the high holy days. That's great. We welcome you anytime you want to come back for the high holy days. It's great to check in at latke time and matzah time for Hanukkah and Passover and some of the other holidays. But it's about more than that. Judaism is something that makes us reflect about ourselves, about our community, our world, our families, our youth. The past year and a half, we've learned how to get closer together, how to be there for each other. We're learning how to listen to each other better. We're learning how to offer education and continue learning for each other. We have a gala to hold. We have to honor the Miller family. Lenny, where are you? You're back there, right? That's a commitment. We have to do these things together. Meanwhile, we resume B'nai Mitzvah in a week and a half. Religious school, thankfully, and youth group starts back in person again on Sunday. I feel optimistic because of the things that many of you continue to share with me about how Temple has been important to you during the pandemic and throughout your family's lives. My optimism is because many of us still feel those things. The connection's still there for us, even though many of our friendships could continue outside of this building, outside of Temple, Many of us have friendships we've made, lifelong friendships. We go out for drinks, we go out for meals, we go out for a coffee, for a chat with the people we've met here. But we've chosen to continue to be members because of the connection that binds us together and because of the role that our temple, our clergy, our staff, and each of us play in the lives of our families. One of the most meaningful stories that was shared with me just after the decision to remain independent was made came from a temple member. I had seen this temple member once in person. I didn't know her. I'd heard of her, but I hadn't seen them except for one time. I received a phone call from that temple member once the decision was announced, and a story was shared with me about how important the temple had been. We had that call together, and that story, by the way, predates my involvement in temple, but reminded me of the unknown, not always public version of stories that are among us, that many of us don't know about each other. This story should remind each of us why we should fight so hard to continue the connection, why Dor Dorim's mission is larger than any of the challenges that are outside and that we hear about in our day-to-day lives. I'd like to ask that temple member, a very long-time temple member, Melinda Payan, to come join me. She's going to share with us what that personal experience is for her and her connection to Dor Dorim.
Chatimah Tovah, everyone. Thank you for asking me to speak. My family and I have been members of Temple Dor Dorim for 13 years. When we came to the temple in 2008, we had just finished spending 3 years, in a pediatric chemotherapy playroom with our son, Justin. Justin was born with a very rare condition that at first they thought it was leukemia. He was first diagnosed when he was 4 months old and had his first bone marrow biopsy when he was 5 months old. He really had no immune system until he was 3 years old. Ultimately, they found out it was a temporary suppression of his immune system, and his recovery was a true miracle. I just have to be really thankful to God for it. But by the time he was well enough to be with other kids, we were in the middle of one of the worst economic crises our country had seen in a really long time. It was a really hard time for us to go through. But if ever there is a time to remind you of what's important in your life, the economic stress that we were going through seemed like nothing because our son was one of the few that didn't need chemotherapy. When Justin had recovered, we were desperately wanting to put him in an early childhood program. He had never been with other kids his age, other than the hospital. He had never been to a mall, to Disney World, to Publix, to a restaurant, to any of these things. The problem was we couldn't afford it. We also really wanted him to be with a Jewish community of people around him and involved in the temple. We called every single temple in Broward County, and some indeed, and explained to them our situation. We called the JCC, the Jewish Federation, and we said, listen, we've just spent 3 years in a pediatric oncologist's office at Joe DiMaggio. We need to work. My husband and I need to go back to work, and we don't want to put our son just anywhere. And then we called Dor Dorim. They said, come in. Let's talk about what we can do to help you. I'm sorry. They worked with us. They helped us through a really, really hard time in our life. Temple Dor Dorim was there for us when no one else would be. Rabbi Lipson, Howard Chess, Jody Cohen, they all helped us through a really tough time in our life. It was so emotional for me earlier this year when Justin went through his confirmation class, and several years earlier when he was bar mitzvahed here. And with God's help, many years from now, maybe he'll be married here. Many, many years from now. You see, the temple is a family to us. Earlier this year, I had a really big scare medically, and the first thing that Justin did was call Jamie and ask Jamie to have the rabbi pray for me. The rabbi called me while I was in the hospital and said, "What can I do for you?" Then, a month later, Justin had another horrible situation where he was hit in the face with an 80-mile-an-hour baseball, and we were in a trauma center. And again, the temple was there for us. They brought us Shabbat dinners. They checked on us. You see, the temple is really a family to us. And we will do all we can to support Temple Dor Dorim and everything they've done for us for the last 13 years, and we hope you will too. Thank you.
Melinda, thank you. I wrote down here some words that thank you for your very personal, intimate story, but I had no idea that it was that personal and that intimate. It takes tremendous courage to admit vulnerability and to share it publicly. Thank you. Like Melinda, many of the others have come to me and asked me how to contribute to Dor Dorim because of what the temple has meant to us in our lives. The easiest way, many of us do this, is offer your time. We need people that are willing to roll up your sleeves, reimagine what our evolving version and vision of Temple Dor Dorim will be. Rabbi last week shared that we created an email address, tddreams@templedordorim.org, and we've actually received responses. The messages in those are confidential for you to share your visions and hopefully volunteer your time. You can always reach out to Rabbi or to me or to any member of the board of directors. All of our names are on the temple website. They're there. Please volunteer your ideas and your time and your creativity. As you know, we have a Kesher appeal. Kesher means connection. And the appeal continues. It started just before Rosh Hashanah, and the idea is to continue it through Hanukkah, or a little beyond if we need to. We set an ambitious goal of $100,000. I'm really optimistic and happy to share with you that we're just shy of 1/3 of our way there, with really very little fanfare. The spotlight last week during Rosh Hashanah certainly helped it. It's really 3 weeks, and we're just shy of 1/3 of our goal. Here's what I want to add. If there's an important evolution that I can help cultivate as the president of our temple, it's reinforcing and returning the culture of giving. It's always existed, but I want to bring it back. I want to reinvigorate it. I want to reinforce it and make it part of what we do, a normal part of what we do. What I've learned as I've studied some of the patterns of giving among our members is that we've recently had a smaller few that give regularly and others that give a bit sporadically. And I recognize what I'm about to say might tread a fine line here. I want you to understand that the temple is always grateful for your generosity. We need it. We depend on it. I also want to encourage you to consider giving beyond just once a year. And I know that's a big ask. I'm treading on that fine line, but I want to ask you, to the best of your ability, please don't give just once. Make it a more recurring event. The truth is that synagogues, whether you're the one on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan that just received a record donation of $10 million, yes, I read the New York Post, or if you're on Glade Circle in Weston, we depend on charitable giving to be able to function. We can't only depend on the usual suspects. We each need to become the usual suspects, the consistent donors to our temple. Specifically, this building needs some TLC. If you were here last night and last week, you know what I'm talking about. Did you schwitz? Who did? We haven't seen schwitzing in this county and in Dade County since LeBron, D. Wade, Chris Bosh, UD won the championship in the NBA. That was schwitzing. Last night was schwitzing. The building needs some TLC. We have landscaping improvements to make. We have air conditioning units to replace. We have permanent light fixtures we have to take care of. We have a website to update. We have a pothole in the parking lot to fix. If anyone wants to have a pothole or former pothole named after them. We have computer equipment and an IT network that needs to be made more secure, and the list can go on and on. Donations to our appeal can and will be utilized to help absorb as many of those costs as possible, but we need to make them. Here's my ask of you. Donate what you can. If you already did, thank you. If you already did, please consider donating again. I donated once at Rosh Hashanah, and I donated once again yesterday. And it's a stretch for me, but I do it because I feel that I can't ask you if I'm not doing it myself. Also, what encourages me that I see several others have donated not once, but twice. They donated again. Sometimes it's the same amount, sometimes it's more than the second time, and that's wonderful. If you donate $18, if you donate $36, if you donate $54, thank you. Please know that these amounts are incredibly appreciated. Here's my ask. If you are able to, please consider making those a monthly or regular donation of that amount, because when those add up, the sum of it is incredibly powerful. Small sacrifices made consistently are equally powerful. They're the building blocks that I referred to last week that help to strengthen the temple's ability to foster connection. Lean in, stretch, view this as the right thing to do because it helps us achieve our goal. Just yesterday, a longtime temple member told me about a contribution that was about to be made. It had been building up in email. In that person's email to me, this description was used. Quote, "It is my pleasure and obligation to do my part to help our temple." Wow, pleasure and obligation. Just as it is temple's obligation to support our members in good times and bad times, to offer and to sustain connection to Judaism, our members also understand that if we want our temple to be here for our kids and grandkids' bar mitzvah, b'nai mitzvah, and confirmations and simchas and future high holy day celebrations, break fasts, speakers, youth group activities, social action events, empty nester get-togethers, and so many more, it's our obligation to support this congregation because we are the ones who will host those events and serve as the center of the community. Please, this is the moment, if you're moved to do so, you can turn on your phone, or you can take the envelope that's hopefully on your seat, or that's out in the atrium, fill it out. The link is dordorim.org/appeal. Please feel free to fill out the form, go to the link, it's quite easy. I'm gonna go ad lib for a second off of this. When I walked in here, I saw the building, the room start to fill up. The following sentence occurred to me. It said, wow, we're back. We have a full room. We have wonderful clergy. We have beautiful music. We're back. But then I thought to myself, no, that's wrong. We never left. We've always been here. The building has always been here. We've always been here. We made a decision to remain independent, and now the responsibility is in each of our hands to make sure we live up to the responsibilities of that decision. Donating to the Kesher Appeal is one way. The other ways, lean into your Judaism. Come to Shabbat. Let us see you more than just once a year. Because we have many, many, many stories of connection and how important this place truly is. Melinda, Payan, and the Payan family, thank you. What you did was really brave. For those that are here in person, those that are streaming, thank you for your membership. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your patience with my long message. For those that are fasting, I wish you an easy and meaningful fast, and I wish each of you Gamar Chatimah Tovah. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you to Melinda. And hello, Justin, recent confirmation student. Love that. Nice to see you. Nice to see your entire family. Shana Tova, thank you for speaking. We are going to conclude, well, almost. We're so close. We're going to ask Amy Kotler to come up and just give us just some announcements about the schedule of the rest of the day, and then we will wish you a Gamar Tov. You know, traditions to stay all day, so you're good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Shana Tova. We want to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. We are so glad that you are here with us for these high holidays. I want to thank Rabbi Block, guest cantor Trachtenberg, cantorio soloist Robin Kuta for leading us in services that make this a very meaningful high holidays in yet another unusual year. Thank you to our technology crew, Ed Horowitz, Sam Sangri, Shauna Brody, and Jamie Mafdali. We'd also like to thank Rabbi Block, cantorial soloist Robin Kuta, Jamie Mafdali, the Director of Youth Engagement, Learning and Programs, Sheila Woldenberg, Early Childhood Director, and Rabbi Lipson, Emeritus, who have participated in children's experiences and adult programming that has happened earlier and will continue later today. Thank you to Faye Kotler, Clergy Administrative Assistant, for all the organization and coordination of the high holidays, which we know is not an easy task. And thank you to Oscar Landano for all his assistance in preparing for the high holidays. Thank you all to the participants, readers, and volunteers who have helped with services and programs with these high holidays. Thank you to Lori Riley for her coordination of the choir components for our services. And thank you for all the choir members for their beautiful music and voices and all the time and energy that you have put into our service this year. Thank you to Anthony Ciotti for accompanying our choir. We are still collecting food donations for our local kosher food bank again this year. If you've not already done so, please bring your donations to the temple as soon as possible. Thank you for your support. Our donations to the cupboard will be appreciated. Our Yom Kippur schedule continues with our virtual-only family service at 1:30 p.m., followed by 2 study sessions at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m., which are both virtual, and 4 p.m. for our healing Yiskar, Niala, Havdalah. Please contact Faye Kotler at faykotler@dordorim.org for links. Our Brotherhood will be constructing our Sukkah on Sunday, September 19th at 9 a.m. in our Generation Circle. Please contact Josh Feinberg if you'd like to help. For the sake of everyone's safety, we ask you not to congregate in the sanctuary and to please exit directly after the service. Please take time to greet one another safely outside. And I'd just like to say on a personal note, I could not imagine not having Temple Dor Dorim as part of our community. I feel so blessed to be a part of such an incredible congregation with our clergy, and I hope you all continue to support it with everything that you can do. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Amy. Just one little announcement. If you do plan to stay all day and you would like to attend the 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock study sessions, you're welcome to join Rabbi Lipson in his office, or you can also, of course, join virtually. Please, let's rise for this closing blessing. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may just never be enough. Give the world the best you have anyway. Gamar Chatimah Tovah.